प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्मणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते.
Chapter 3, Shloka 27. While the works are being done by the modes of nature, he who is bewildered by egoism thinks that it is I who's doing it. Nature or prakriti is in constant movement. It is constantly creating. It is constantly mutating. In prakriti, in nature, there's a coalition of forces, intermixture of energies. And through the movements of prakriti, life goes on. It works through the three gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva. Rajas, which brings movement, tamas, which brings inertia, and sattva, which brings a balanced movement. Rajas by itself creates a compulsion to act restlessly, often without purpose or meaning, for the sake of movement and action. On the other hand, inertia, tamas, that refuses to act, that brings a certain laziness, a certain inertia, inability to act. And then the highest of the three gunas, sattva, which is about balanced, peaceful movement. These three gunas are constantly in an interplay in nature. It is true, these three gunas, the manifestation and activity and works of life is taking place. But we, because of our ego mind, think it is I who's doing the works. To give you an example, when you eat a heavy meal, you will feel a certain inertia in the body. Or when you get depressed, you have a tendency towards eating a heavy meal. When you're oversensitive, you have a tendency towards falling into melancholy and sorrow. So like this, the cycle goes on, one thing leads to the other. But because of our sense of egoism, the active, narrow, surface personality that we identify as I, me, myself, we tend to think I am the one who's the doer. This is actually, on one hand, one of the most fundamental understandings in yoga, and at the same time, one of the most misunderstood aspects. Because if I am not the doer, shall I stop making all effort and leave things to fate? If everything is written, then why must I make an effort? That is one sort of a dilemma. On the other hand, the dilemma is, no, but I experience life as I am the doer, I am the cause of things. How can I just believe that it is nature who's doing everything? How can I let go? How can I surrender? Well, both of these are mistakes. When we say it is the nature which is doing everything, it does not mean that we must not put in effort, because we too are a part of nature. Nature is not separate from us. The attempt in yoga is a conscious sacrifice of the lower nature for the manifestation of the higher nature. That is the sadhana, that is the tapasya. And tapasya lays the ground for surrender. Because on the other side of the spectrum is when you get used to doing things and through your will, creating an impact, you forget that for every action that flows through me, there is an infinite number of actions that are happening, that are leading to a certain outcome, to a certain success. Infinite number of other actions and things being at the right place at the right times are happening for that manifestation of the action. And it is then I need to remember that it is not I who's doing the work. It is the nature that is doing the work. In fact, this I that thinks that I am doing the work, the ego, that itself also is a construction of nature. So it is nature herself which has helped us develop an ego mind that thinks I am the doer. It has created this active, temporary, mutable personality in us that has helped us individualize and make sense of our life and its experiences. But the same ego that has been the helper, if one wishes to advance in the spiritual path, then the same very ego becomes the bar. Because now, as I aspire to serve the divine, I cannot live in that narrow separation of the ego. I have to develop a sense of love and oneness. And so I have to let go of that sense of egoistic doership, that it is I who's done this thing and I who's effectuated this result. Because I know that behind me, behind all of prakriti, all of nature is the divine Shakti, the universal power at work. And it is she, the divine will, that is working through me. In fact, as you grow deeper into this, you begin to realize even the sadhana is not done by you. It is the divine who's doing the sadhana through you. So on one hand, the aim of the journey is to find the divine within, to find our true selves and become one with the Godhead within. On the other hand, remember that all I am is an instrument, a flute for Krishna to play. On one hand, it is about absolute identification. On the other hand, it's about being absolutely empty. But the sense of identification I talk about is not an ego identification, that you begin to think that I am a Godhead. But it is the true identity wherein each one of us in our truest, deepest essence is a part of the divine. All we've got to do is to be an instrument and allow Krishna to play the flute. And it is in that process you will witness in your life the divine Shakti doing magnificent works through you. You would be doing things that you never imagined that you're capable of doing. Only because she is working through you. The divine Shakti, the divine will is working through you. And it is not you who is the doer. So with that, we come to a closure of this video. I would love to hear your reflections about how on one hand we get trapped into a very passive surrender. And on the other hand, we get trapped into a very active doership where we find it very difficult to surrender. And tell me how you can be an instrument in a way that your surrender is an active surrender and self-giving. That on one hand, you are not attached to the work that you're doing. You do not feel it is because of I, me, myself that this work happens. On the other hand, how you can continue to give your more than 100% in every work that you do. So I'd love to hear your reflections in the comments below, and I shall see you in the next video. I hope you found the video to be useful. If you would like to continue your journey with us, if you would like to help us support you in your journey, click on the link below and join us for a 2.5-hour signature masterclass called the Awakening Karma Yogi Workshop, where we run you through the fundamental stages of awakening to become a Karma Yogi, to be peaceful inside and successful outside. We talk about Swabhava, our true nature, and Swadharma, our soul's purpose, which are the building blocks of a life affirming, not a life negating spirituality. So if you found this video to be useful, click on the link below and I shall see you at the workshop.